Hare Krishna. Again, thank you everyone for joining our Venture Sangha. Somehow I got this opportunity today to speak. So we couldn't find speaker. Ramchandra was really busy. So this service came to me. So I was able to pull out something for today to speak. So this topic, right mind makes healthy choices. So we're going to discuss about it today. Um, so today we are going to speak from the verse, Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, text number 6. This is really very important verse. A lot of many verses, beautiful verses are here in this chapter about controlling the mind, maintaining the mind. So I will recite the verse, go through a translation, and read the purport. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu satrutve vartatyatmaiva satruvat. Translation. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So purport and translate by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Mr. Prabhupada Ki Jai. The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga or so is simply a waste of time. One who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy, and thus his life and its mission are spoiled. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide the dictation of personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictations. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. Bandhuratmatmanastasya enatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu satrutve vartitatmaiva satruvat. With prayers, we'll start. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sa. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we can see this that Vedic literature actually is full of questions and answers. And Bhagavad Gita, we can see this section, the entire Bhagavad Gita is all about question and answer. And we can see in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yudhishthira Maharaj inquiring with from Narad Muni. Even Narad Muni inquiring from Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. So all these inquiries are there in Vedic literature, right? And these inquiries are actually meant for living entities like us, fallen like us. There was a very interesting incident that one devotee was sharing that, he had his sister, and this was very old time. There was a TV program called Arogya Sampada, and this is a health related program. Like, the interviewer asks, bring different kind of medical expertise, and they ask different questions about regarding those healths. And while watching, like, they were asking some text about tuberculosis. They have TB, and they were talking about it, how it can be cured, how the symptoms and everything. And next week they were talking about, like, some different kind of disease, and another week, like, they were talking about cancers and so many things. And this sister of this devotee acts like, wow, this is so unfortunate. Look at this. This interviewer, he didn't realize that, like, she's asking on behalf of us those questions. And he was saying that, I felt so sorry because last week I heard that she has TB, tuberculosis, and this week she already figured out she had a cancer, you know so sometimes this is our misunderstanding. Sometimes when we see that, now when devotees like Arjuna ask these questions to Krishna, it is really meant for us. It is for our purification. He is inquiring, right? We have to take it that way. So in that way we can see that, in this verse it's clearly explained about the power of mind, actually, right? A mind is a friend, is a best friend when it is properly used, and is the worst among the enemy which you are carrying. Actually, the enemy that very close to you is your mind, and the very best friend that is very, very close to you is your mind. That's what Krishna is explaining, right? And we can see how mind is very, very powerful and how it really works, right? In Amrit Bindu, the beautiful verse with describes the dual nature of the mind. It says, Mana eva manushanam karanam bandha mokshaya bandhaya vishaya sango mukte nirvisayam mana. It says that for a man, mind is the cause of a bondage, and the mind is the cause of liberation. The same mind, you see that? It is the cause of a bondage, and the same mind is the cause of liberation, right? And because when the mind, how that difference occur is that when the mind starts observing in the sense object, right, then it becomes the cause of bondage, right? And when the mind start detaching from the sense object, right, then what happens? It becomes the cause of liberation, right? And just like we can give an example, like a door. It's the same door, right? We come in, we go out, right? But and when we see that, like, sometimes, like if it's getting too hot, like especially in India now, like, it's very hot outside. So people love to come inside the room, like stay home. So they use the same door to come in, right? But if they are feel bored, they have to go to work, they have to go out, and they with the same door, they go out, right? So that's why you see that this mind is so important. It's a gate. Either we use it for liberation to deliver ourselves from the cycle of birth and death, and the same mind can be the cause of our suffering. That's why we see that the Vedic literatures actually spends numerous time, understanding, the quality of nature, the nature, how to regulate it, how to control it, right? All these techniques, all these inquiries are there, right? Many, many devotees are inquiring about this because it's a very, very important part, right, for our understanding and liberation, right? So we can say, like, this is very common thing. Even, like, we ask, like, how can I control my mind during my chanting, our bhajan and japa, right? All this inquiry has been there, right? And 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 because of this mind, we go through so many sankalpa and vikalpa, right? We accept something, we reject something. We make so many choices, right? Life is filled with choices, right? So choice are something very integral part of life. Every moment, what we're doing is choices. Like many devotees now, like joining Vanja Sangha is their choices, right? Many are doing something else. That's their choices, right? So choosing the right from the wrong, right? And from the choosing the wrong from the right, and from the unrighteous, from spiritual, from ritualistic. That is very important. How to make these right choices every moment, right? And Lord has actually provided so many innumerable opportunity for us every moment, actually, right? And but by our foolishness, actually, somehow the living entities are so foolish, they're still making wrong choice over and over because of infatuation of attachment. Right? Beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita. Chintam parimeyam cha pralayantam upashita kamapabhoga parama. Like it says that we are always in this distress of enjoyment. I want to enjoy this. Chintama parimeyam cha. Right? So we are in this. We're taking all this stress, taking the wrong choices, just for what? The kama bhoga. This is what we're doing, right? For lifetime, actually, right? Asa pasa. It's asa pasa. It says that we getting like hope after hope. Then we get trapped in hundreds and hundreds of the bondage of this material world, which is very difficult to overcome eventually, right? And the same way we can see the example in Mahabharata and Ramayana. The devotees are saying that these are the most two foolish people in the history. One is Duryodhan in Mahabharata and Ravana in Ramayana. So we can see that whenever we make choices, there are made based on either we heard something, you know. So we can see that by hearing, like Duryodhana has all this knowledge even from childhood. Actually, they have heard about the glories of Pandavas when even they were younger in the jungle they were staying. You know, we have heard from Vyasadeva, we have heard from Vidura all the time, Drona, Bhishma, everybody is telling Duryodhan, you know, you surrender to Krishna, you adjust with the Pandavas, right? But he never did, right? And he did have experience on the strength of the Pandavas, right? When he was captured by the Gandharvas, right? Um, and Arjuna defeated the Gandharvas and saved him. He saw that the power of Arjuna and Bhim, and even the entire Kuru army. Just imagine all the Karna, Dronacharya, Bhishma Pitam, every single warrior were fighting against one warrior, right, in Virata, with Arjuna single-handedly. And single-handedly Arjuna defeated entire Kuru. Just imagine the power, right? And he has experienced this, that they are not ordinary people, right? And despite of that, Krishna gave chance after chance to Duryodhan. Even Vyasadeva was telling Duryodhan, you have to follow. And Dhritarashtra was because of attachment. Somehow, Vyasadeva, what can I do? Please guide my son. So there is an incident when Vyasadeva said, Maitreya Muni is going to come and just follow what he says. And Maitreya Muni suggested, and he really tried to encourage Duryodhan to give it away. Give back, remove this inimical, what you have in your heart for your brothers, Pandavas, and give back the kingdom. And he was hitting the thigh and like disrespecting Maitreya Muni, and he cursed him actually. And Vyasa and Dhritarashtra was begging, please do not curse. And he said, if he doesn't follow what I said, the curse will act. Right? If he follows, that curse will not act. And he leaves, right? And we can see that, despite of so many chances, so many hearing, he still fails to accept it because he's not making the right choice. When Krishna coming as a Santi Dut, you know, and Krishna is telling, Duryodhan, if you think you're superior, you think you're great, you have power, you know, just if you think you're superior to yourself, so give them 5 villages as like like a dana, give it to them, the 5 villages at least, if the and if you think you are inferior, then submit to the Pandavas, right? And if you think you are equal, compromise, just negotiate. And that's what Duryodhan was not able to do it. And that became the fall down, right? And everything got destroyed just because of this wrong choice Duryodhan was making his entire life, right? And second character we want to discuss about the Ravana, right? We can see Ravana also had a similar case, because of attachment somehow to Mother Sita. And he have seen his brothers, like during the war, actually, Bibhishan was telling, Kumbhakarna was telling, even his son was telling, Indrajit was telling, they are not ordinary people, right? And when even his mother Dari, like every single person in the family was telling Ravana, please give Mother Sita back. And he was not listening, right? Even when Hanuman came, Angad came, they saw the power. Hanuman burned like he could see, or Ravana experienced when Khardushan was killed, right? Hanuman burned the entire Lanka. Even the Brahmastra, which he thought like, oh, my son bound Hanuman just like that. And he broke the rope just like that, right? Still he could not realize. Still he could not realize, right? And there were so many chances. Lord Ramachandra gave so many chances. Even when Vibhishan came, even Lord Ramachandra, even Ravan or Vibhishan, doesn't matter whoever comes, right? I will forgive them. I'll give them abhaya. And that's what Lord Ram is. Just give Mother Sita back. Simply what is that demand? And Ravana could not make the right choice because of his false ego and attachment, right? And that actually, because the cause of this, Duryodhana and Ravana got destroyed, they eventually got killed, right? Mercilessly, right? They will, all the family had to die because of that, right? So very important. On other hand, we see Chitraketu Maharaj. We have in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chitraketu Maharaj, he really wanted to have a son. He was so much attached. When Angira Muni comes, Angira Muni, please bless me with the son. And Angira Muni said, like, you don't have this in your karma, right? Plus, you just begging. Angira Muni, So you should have some power to bless me with, right? And what happened? He gave a son. Blessed him with the say, okay, you'll have a son. And from his one of the wife, from his wife Kritadyuti, he had a son called Harsasoka, right? They named him Harsasoka, Angira Muni gave. But later, actually, he realized when his son died, all the poisoning happened. Like, we know this story. How all the queens saw that now the king is so much absorbed in this, the first queen, right? We are not getting that attention. And all the attention is on Krita duty. This is unfair. And who is the main cause? This child, this baby. So they plan to poison the child and kill them. And you see, after this child was dead, King Chitraketu Maharaj went in depression like anything. They say that his depression went such a extent that his hair turned white. You know, that kind of stress he went, just like that. You know, and later when Girimuni brought Narad Muni together, right? At the time when he started hearing, then he realized, now he heard, he experienced what has happened, and he realized it. So on the other hand, Duryodhana and Ravana, they've heard, they've experienced, they got chances so many times, but they never changed, right? And they were doomed to fail in life. But Chitraketu Maharaj, because of that, and he started meditating Lord Sankarshan, and he was able to take darshan of Lord Sankarshan in this very lifetime, right? And that's a power of making right choice, right? So we can see that some of our chapters in our life are already been written. Certain age, certain percentage of our books are already done, right? Whatever is written, it can be written by golden ink, bad ink, whatever is done, right? But now it's time for us to respect what is remaining, the empty pages that is there with us. That choice is still with us. So let's learn to make a right choice, right? So that's what we are trying to do, making a right choice through a right making a decision, right? So you know choices are generally driven by either attraction, oh wow, this new iPhone came, an iPhone 16, iPhone 17, whatever it is, new thing, right? You're driven with attraction because everybody has it. I also want to have iPhone or some like MacBook, whatever it could be, the kind of attraction. Oh, somebody has sari, wonderful sari, oh, silk sari, this sari, Matajis, sometimes they might have that kind of, Prabhuji might have some different kind of attractions, right? Because what they have, and so what they've heard, they have seen, you know, some kind of allurement is there. And second way of like getting attracted is from reasoning. Oh, this is better than this. I have this old phone is not really think that it's working. Let me get. So you're making a choice based on that, right? So, but in the life, we need to make right choices by narrowing down our choices, right? Based on what is required and be focused on a target, right? Just like it's a simple thing, like, eating prasadam, like non-prasadam, you know, just like, North Indian people and South Indian people, they have habituated eating certain things by after many years of eating habit, right? They have made their choice in that way, right? So we can see that uh, we have to develop a right kind of choices. So we can see how can we develop these choices that comes in our life. So through hearing, right? When we have right source of information, actually, then we can make a better choice, right? Rukmini, there's a beautiful story of Rukmini everyone knew, right? From childhood, she was hearing about Krishna, his qualities, his guna, lila, everything was hearing, and she was so attracted and observed that I want to marry Krishna. That's her goal, right? And that's where, when she was being selected to get married to Sisipal, right? And she sent a letter, all the story is there. But you can see that she make a choice based on that hearing, right? And that's the right choice we have to make. That's why Sushusho Sadaranashya. We have to keep hearing about Krishna. Then actually in our life, when we keep observing, right? Reading, hearing the scriptures, Vedic scriptures, we can make a right choices. Yeah. Yeah, Sastra, like there's a beautiful verse. Tasma Sastra Pramanante Karya Karya Vivasito. What to do and what not to do is we know based on the Sastra, by the help of the Sastra. They are the chakshu, they are the eyes for us, right? So very, very important. And other thing is association, right? We make choice by help of association based on the people whom we are associated with, right? We make those kind of choices. Now we can see a lot of kids, if they go to school, they get so much influence, right? Even though it may be good or not, right? Because it's a trend. They just make a choices just like that, right? But making a right choice is very, very influenced by association. That's why to have a right association is so much important, right? And a very beautiful story about Giriraj Maharaj, when in Juhu project, a lot of thing with the legal case, everything is going on. And he was even tempted by a beautiful prostitute. How he was able to control, he was thinking that what would Srila Prabhupada think, right? How would he react if I fall down that way? And because of that, you know, he was able to control. He was able to make a right choice, right? So that's why it is, right? So we have to be very, very careful having right association. So we always need to choose the right thing, right? Because ultimately we have to choose. Life is preparation, death is examination, as we say. The preparation, we have to make it, right? We have to make a choice is what we do. Certain, definitely there's some influence here and there because of association and everything, but ultimately we make that step, we make that action of choosing what I want, right? So many people can say so many things. You should do this, do that, but ultimately it's judgment I have to make. But the right judgment come through right association and right hearing. Very, very important, right? And as it says, push ourselves, push to chant, and pull the beats. We have to push ourselves, actually. We don't like to chant. Push ourselves, you know, that I need to chant because this is the only hope I have in this world, in the material world, in order for me to get out, right? That's the only way. And then challenge will come. Whenever we make good choice, you think, oh, I did the best thing. No, challenge will come. People will criticize you, people will mock you. These Hare Krishnas, like especially I don't know over here, but they'll mock you. What are you chanting? Especially we had to face like colleges and schools, like these Hare Krishnas, chanting in the street, everything. People used to tease, right? That challenge will come. Even Rukmini, when she chose Krishna, immediately there were challenges. There was attacks. He just tried to run, but there was war with his own brother, family. So many things happened. So it's not easy as we think. Challenge will definitely come, despite of what it is, right? So making right choice comes from a proper mindset, right? So understanding this mind is very, very important. Very, very important. As Krishna himself is explaining, this quality of mind, right? And Patanjali actually Sutra describes this five stages mind, which we'll be more focusing on here today. So the five stages of state of mind. So one is Chipta. Chipta means restless mind. It's crazy. It's like, mind is definitely everywhere. And two, Mudha is dullness. And three, Vichikta, and that is distracted. And Ekagraha, one pointed, concentrated. And Niruddha, completely controlled or trance. So these are the five state of mind. So what happened to the character? So Chitta, actually, restlessness, it is actually, Chitta means like, agitated, you know, is completely distracted state of mind, you know. So mind as it is very, very active. As Krishna explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3.5, Nahi kasyat chanamapi, there is never even a moment. Jatu tishthat karma krit, there is never a moment that you're not doing anything, right? Karyate vasha karma, you will do something by under the modes of material nature. Sarva prakritir jair gunai. You always will be influenced. You'll be always doing something, right? By the influence of mode of nature, right? And this chitta, mind, is so restless. You'll be doing something, right? So there is a beautiful pastime that Atma Tattva Prabhu actually shares this while during his initiation time. Before initiation, his initiation was done on Radhastami. And before initiation, his mouth was infected and he was not brushing a teeth because of infection in his mouth. And um, and at that time, where the place, the temple where the initiation was happening, the asana and the initiating person and everything was very close, like very close circle. And when Srila Prabhupada was asking, like tell me the four regular principles, you know, char niyam kya hai, and like no meat eating. And his mouth was so stinky. And after that, he gives a beat and what, like, what happened? What is it? Why your mouth stink? It's because it's infection. Advaita Prabhu tells to Srila Prabhupada, right? Because Prabhupada said, "Aap daat kyun saaf nahi karte?" Like, Prabhupada asked him like that. And it's because of infection, like, it was, I was not able to brush the teeth. And all the initiation was over. Then Prabhupada started giving lecture. And at the time, Atma Prabhu took the chamara and it was like, doing wonderful chamara with all the style and everything. Very interesting. Actually, you can watch in YouTube his realization, very beautiful. And he was saying that when he was doing all this Samara, Prabhupada started giving lecture, and he says that this material world, life is infection, and he put his hand like this on on the front. You scratch, he said, and you feel happy, and you scratch again, you feel a little satisfied, and you scratch again more, and you stop. It's not that you're satisfied, but blood comes. He says, you know, and right, he was looking at the Advaita Prabhu and looking like you scratch and blood comes, you know. So it's like really this samsara actually, as Krishna explained, ye samsparsa ja bhoga dukha yunevate. The more we try to enjoy in this world, this is like a scratch. You try to get some satisfaction. Actually, when some itchiness is there, some kind of satisfaction is there, right? But the more you scratch, actually, Krishna says, it becomes the cause of bondage, right? So that's why it's very, very important. There is a very regulated the way how we have to. There has to be all the principle has to be based on regulations. That the bhoga tyaga, everything has to be regulated, right? And in material world, you can see that they are trying to find a different way and methods to do the itching, like different style of it. Maybe this itching is not working. Maybe this itching will work. That itching will work. Oh, I'm itching. Why are you not itching? Start itching. All this itchy thing is going on to satisfy. Think that the material world is going to satisfy you someday, right? So this is what is happening, right? Even the relationship we can see all about scratching, itching each other. One devotee was sharing. He was in London and he saw, you know, there was a traffic, and even after the traffic was red light, the car was staying, but even after the green light came, one of the car didn't even move, and everybody took like aside and start moving, and they saw a girl and a boyfriend, you know, they were doing a public display of affection, over there, and after like 3 4 lights they were going, like they saw again this couple, and they already saw they were fighting, and there's public display of anger was happening already. And this is what it is in the spiritual world, right? Even the relationship is very, very temporary, and this itch, it's ultimately going to give us blood, right? As Prahlad Maharaj said, it's a big itch, this material enjoyment, right? And as Narottam Das Thakur, no, I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur says beautiful verse in Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya. He says, Tomara hridaye sada Govinda Bhisham. So why actually in the devotees there is Lord Krishna? Why? Because there is no agitation, right? You cannot rest somewhere, someplace where there is agitation. Whenever there is agitation, you want to get away from there, right? It's too disturbing until unless you are crazy. And that's why the material world is about. They are not even understanding that there's so much agitation, you know just like when you're not focused, like just like in a pond, when in the calm lake, if you visit and you throw a small pebble, right, it will bring beautiful waves, right? You'll see that waves, and again you throw, you see that if it doesn't hit the same spot, the waves will collide each other. It just creates agitation, right? In the same way, our mind actually, when dominated by so much rajaguna, right, which is this current material world, so much agitated over here, right? They are so much jumping, in the rat race because of that, right? And that's called chipta, restlessness, right? And other other stage is mudha, Muda actually is a stage called stage of ignorance, right? Where the mind is dull and sluggish. There's no clarity, right? Just like ignorant. You you're foolishly doing nothing. There's a lack of interest, lack of enthusiasm. There's a lot of predominance of tamasic, qualities on this particular stage, in the Muda stage, right? And they're prone to feeling like lazy and always depressed, right? And many people are actually in this situation, right? Just like there is one devotee was sharing this story of a donkey in Karjat railway. They were traveling, and when they were traveling and they were staying inside a train, on the other side of the track, there was a donkey. And later they saw that from afar there is another track started coming on the track where the donkey was saying, and everybody was shouting and trying to throw stones at the donkey. But the donkey was thinking that, oh, he's the center of attraction. Oh, everybody's looking my show, you know. And when even he saw this train, he started running towards the train. And you know what has happened? You know, he died on the spot, right? And that's what it is. It's a mood. As Srila Prabhupada actually says in one of the lecture, was reciting this beautiful praise of Narottam Das Thakur, Hari Hari Bifale Janama Ganakainu Manushya Janama Paya Radha Krishna Na Bhajiya Janiya Suniya Bisha Kainu. And he says actually real Muda, the real foolish person, who is he? That living entities who knowingly, after seeing, after hearing, knowingly drinking the poison, right? And that's what actually is happening for many of us, right? Knowingly we're doing so many foolish things, right? And that's what it is. And my Guru Maharaj, Radha Maharaj, was sharing that, Krishna actually has labeled this material world, with this crossbones and skulls, the poison, the poison logo. And but by these deluded living entities, we all are deluded in this living entity, reading it. This is a danger. This is a poisonous. And still we feel it's for me. I'll enjoy. That danger is not for me. It's for others. Just nowadays, like the foolishness we can see that before, even the smoking packets, they were like elegant smoking packets before, right? Now there's a mandatory, and even what is the instructions that the smoking is injurious to health. It's hazardous. It's smoking kills, right? It is written before in the small cases. People read it, they don't think it's going to happen. Oh, it's happened to somebody else. Maybe I'll not die, or I'll buy. They die fast because of this poison. Maybe I'll die a little slower after some time, or I would never die. Because of this. You think like that, and that's Buddha. That's a foolishness, right? So nowadays, even now, like in India now, there's a law. At least 70% of the packet has to have all this cancerous, lungs and everything pictures they have to see. But they just disregard that. Just imagine the foolishness of people, right? This is what is happening. Just like Duryodhan, he says that there's a saying. It's not in Mahabharata, but there's a beautiful saying by Duryodhan: "Janami dharmam nachame pravrti." Janami adharmam chame pravrti. I know what is right, what is real dharma, but I have no inclination to it. It's still shameless. He's doing it, right? And he says, I know what is adharma, but I'm so much inclined to do it. That's exactly a foolish person does, right? There's a smoking is dangerous, but still we smoke, feeling cool, right? Putting the fire in the mouth and saying it's cool. And that's what it is, the muda, right? And the third is vikshipta. So vikshipta means distraction, distracted mind. You know, this is actually distraction actually happens because of attraction. So you are distracted with something means that you're attracted to something else, right? So this is the cause, right? And we can see this. This is one of mind we most of us have. We especially like while started try to chant, sit down. All the distractions come at that time. Oh, the plan, this, that. What I want to do today. All these things come while we start to chant and focus, right? And that distraction is there on all of us, right? And you can see that our mind is very, 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 very like flickery, just like Arjuna is describing, right? Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramathi balavadridam tashyaham nigraham manye vayuriva saduskaram. So, like Arjuna, see how actually powerful and sense control Arjuna had. We know the pastime of Urvasi. Even Urvasi wanted to enjoy him and was going and like asking that favor from him, but it was not even tinge of attraction to Urvasi. And we know how Urvasi had enchanted Vishwamitra so many other saints, right? But Arjuna was so much controlled. And he even was, Uttara, when his Uttara's father, Virat Naresh, came to know that, oh, these are Pandavas. And Uttara was Arjuna's student of dancing and music at a time, right? And he want to get married, to Arjuna, but Arjuna said, he's my student, right? How can I marry? He was so sense controlled, right? We can understand that, right? And he is saying that his mind is chanchala. This chanchalta is just like a kid, chanchalta, right? Because it's a pramati, it's a mad, it's crazy, right? And it's not very small, like if it's not like very weak kind of madness. It's balava. It's a very, very powerful. Just like when somebody is mad, you can by force you can control. But if you have an elephant like madness, very difficult to control the mad elephant. You might have seen some YouTube videos how crazy the elephant goes, right? The craziness of mad elephant. It can destroy everything, right? And this is what it is. The mind can do, right? The mad mind, right? And that's what Krishna Arjuna is saying. This is Pramati, this chanchala and very powerful. And on the top of that, dridam. It's not listening to anyone. It's so jiddi, so obstinate. Even like some kids like they are so chanchal. They're like you can try to control some way. But Arjuna said this mind is so powerful. This is so agitating and so jiddi, just reckless, very difficult, right? He's saying even I can control the wind. It is very difficult for me to control the mind, right? There is a one beautiful story of a sadhu. A student comes to sadhu and says and challenges, hey sadhu, भगवान को दिखाओ मेरे को. भगवान में विश्वास करते show me God. Oh, but he said if you want to see God, you have to control your mind. He said, controlling mind is easy peasy. This is my mind. I can tell this mind to do whatever I want. Okay, so you come back after 7 days. So what you do, you don't think of a chimpanzee. And he thought like, I've never seen chimpanzee. I've heard about chimpanzee, but never, why I would think? It never came in my mind. Will not become a distraction. But after 7 days, it comes and his face look very different. And he comes to Saint, what happened? Are you okay? He says that, the moment I left from here, I was only thinking about chimpanzee, you know. So then the saint says, okay, so if it was difficult, then what you do? You sit in my ashram. Now think only about chimpanzee, right? And you try to do it. Then he's not able to think about chimpanzee. This is what the mind is. Very, very powerful, very difficult to control. Always distraction is there. Always, right? Always distraction is there, right? That's why Krishna says that you know asamsayam mahabaho manodunigraha chalam abhyasane tu kaunteya vairagena cha grihate. So Krishna is saying, yes, Arjuna, I understand that this is very durnigraham, very difficult to control, very powerful. But how can you do it? He said, by practice and by vairagya. These are the very two powerful tools that one has to follow in order to control the mind, right? One time, Satsuru Maharaj came to Srila Prabhupada and was telling Srila Prabhupada, like, I get very sleepy in Bhagavatam class. And Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, yes, I see, I know. Because Bhagavatam is not for neophyte devotee, it's for advanced devotee. Then he said, Satsuru Maharaj said, like, Srila Prabhupada, I want to become advanced devotee. Then you need to try to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, you have to give up this laziness, like laya. Laya actually means laziness. You have to give it up. And how can we give up laziness? Is through abhyasa, by practice. Now for us to chant is difficult, but you are keeping practicing over and over, right? And there's so much distraction in our life. And how can we solve that distraction? Is through practice, that abhyasa, right? No, sorry, the distraction is through vairagya, right? Abhyasa, you can destroy the laziness, and vairagya, you can destroy the distraction. Now, why we are distracted? You're so much attached with this. Oh, I want this. I want this. Right? Janmasya moham aham mameti. I want everything. Whatever you see, you want it. But when you start to learn detachment, actually, it will not affect us, right? Our mind becomes a little bit calm, right? Because there is no any kind of allurement, because there is no kind of desire, because you are practicing vairagya. So these both principles are very, very important, right? So that we can control the mind and get focused, not get very, very distracted, right? And this vikshipta is a stage, like intermediate stage, like from passion to, is a between passion to goodness. You will see in this particular stage. And the fourth one is ekagra. So focus, one pointed, concentrated mind is called ekagra, right? And in this stage, this is on mostly on sattva guna level. There's a beautiful clarity on our mind, and needs a beautiful high level, concentration, steady of thoughts, right? And in this ekagra stage, one is able to focus on daily tasks without undisturbed by stimulus, certain desires that come. But this is not the ultimate stage, because issue with this ekagrata is why we are so focused, because it is induced by two main aspects. One is by fear and one is by hope. Sometimes we are so focused because we are fearful, right? Um, because something is like gonna happen to me. You just get focused on certain things because of that. There's a beautiful story in Niti that there was one man, and everybody, all the citizens, all the villagers, and everybody used to, like, fool around him, trouble him, criticize him, abuse him so many ways, ridicule him. And this person goes to the king and complain that, all the people are criticizing me, like, ridiculing me, abusing me, and you are a king, you have to do something about it. And while he was telling this, the king instruct is one of the best, two of the best, the executioner, like, those people who punish the people, right? And with a big sword, they came in the front of king. And then the king instructs somebody to bring a pot filled with oil, you know, brimming on the top of the pot. And then the king instructed that you going to carry this all through town. And he told this uh, executioner, like, take him. And if he drops even a single, cut his head off immediately at that time. And he was like, he couldn't even say anything. They said, like, move. That's it. And king actually made an announcement. They told that, this day, everyone can ridicule this person. They can say bad words. They can, like, so many things. Everybody can say. free. That announcement was done. That's everybody on the street was like, making fun of him, you know, ridiculing him. And a whole day was carrying from village to village and everywhere, and he came back. And then the king asked, did anyone ridicule you today? And this man says, King, I don't know what happened today, but nobody would ridicule me today. It's so surprising, he says. And he asked the executor, did that somebody ridicule him? They said every single person, even the dog, were ridiculing him, barking at him, you know. But he could not feel it. He could not see. He could not because that ekagrata was there, because of fear. Because anything happened, he was so focused in this oil, he was not able to focus anything. Couldn't even hear anything. What kind of focus he had? That one-pointed concentration, you know, and that is induced by fear, right? And then there is induced by hope, right? So there is we can see that sometimes because of something, I want to get some certain thing, we tend to be focused because of that, right? So and the last stage is niruddha. So let me add one more story on the other one. So in Ekagra, there is one beautiful story. This one is called like induced by hope. So there was one girl. She was married, but she had a paramour outside. She had a boyfriend, and she used to do all the household work, chores at home, and she used to finish as soon as possible, and used to meet her boyfriend or paramour outside. And one day, she got very late. She was doing her housework. She was not able to finish the chores right time, and she got late, and she was running, r- rushing to meet. You know, and she took a shortcut. She went through a jungle, and on the jungle there was some saint meditating. You know, and she was passing by, she actually hit the saint, who was meditating. And when the yogi just like came out of the dhyana, he saw this girl was running and he was calling. This boom, she's just lost in the jungle. Later this girl met uh, her boyfriend and was coming back, you know, and this saint was so upset. Hey girl, what did you do? Why did you, stop my absorb? I was so much absorbed, in my meditation. And this girl says, I was also so much absorbed. I didn't see you. I never touched you. No, you did. And he says, then I was also so much absorbed. And you are saying that you're so much absorbed. I didn't realize I hit you. And you realize means you need to get more absorbed, right? So this girl, you see that she was not even realizing her surrounding, because that hope, that anticipation of meeting the boyfriend, had made her so much focus, that concentrated focus on that person, has made her like not see anything, you know, and that's called ekagrata. And the last one is niruddha, right? So niruddha means it's trance, completely controlled. You know, this is especially for devotees, right? Just like there's a beautiful story of this brahmana who was, and he always used to do manasika because it was very poor brahmana, is nothing. So in the mind, he used to decorate the deities, prepare different bhoga item and offer to the Lord in the mind completely. Today is dressing like this decoration like that. I'm decorating, put this kumkum, put this kind of crown, dressing the deities just like in the mind. He used to do every single day. And one single day, one time, he was in the mind, he was preparing some sweet rice. And he was about to offer the sweet rice in his mind, but and he was thought like, maybe it's too hot. Let me touch it and feel the if it is hot. And actually, when in his mind he was pretending, like in his mind, he was so much focused and trying to feel if it's too hot to offer to the Lord. Actually, it burned his hand. And that is Niruddha. It's in the moment of trance, right? So you see that how the through of Nama, right? You can go that Guna, Rupa, Leela, everything will manifest. That's a power of this, right? So this is the ultimate stage where devotees are so focused, right? And even devotees are participating in Lord pastime. Rupa Goswami, the Six Goswami, actually they say they used to even meditate on the Leelas of the Lord, right? What is currently even happening, right? So that's so much high level of the mind stage, the perfect says, right? And one time, Narad Muni visited Vrindavan and he saw these gopis, sitting in a lotus position and meditating. This Narmada was so surprised. What is happening in Vrindavan? And he tried to inquire what is happening, in Vrindavan. Why you have to perform all this Astanga Yoga and all this thing? And his gopis saying that, why are we doing this? We want you to forget Krishna. Because he's not going out of our mind. He's always there in our mind and our heart is already absorbed us. And because of this, we are unable to do our household work. We cannot do anything. We always think about Krishna and everything is always messed up because of this. It's just, this is the situation. Just imagine where our condition in the gopis. We're trying to remember Krishna. They're trying to forget Krishna. Every moment they are remembering, right? That's a situation. And some devotees were sharing, why cannot gopis forget Krishna? Why it is not possible? And he was given an example of the lal, the wax. If in the previous time the kings, for different confidentiality, there's a letter and they used to put some lal. Even in whenever there's some official letters or something, there's kind of wax. They stick it and glue and stamp with the some kind of sign to know what it is. And they also used to be different color coded. They used to put some haldi or like kumkum to make different color. But and when the wax actually generally is white or different, it's another colorful one in the original wax, and they put different color. Just if they want to put yellowish color, they might put some haldi, and mix it. They warm the wax and mix the haldi and mix it properly and bring that color. But once the color is added in that wax, you cannot remove the color. No matter what you do, you try to boil, you try to do so many, the color is thick, right? Is too late, right? In the same way, it's a situation of the gopis like that. Here, actually, Krishna actually explaining to Uddhav that katham vinaro maharsham dravita chetasa vinasana darsha kalya Shuddhed bhaktya vinasaya. So this dravita chetasa, that kind of feeling in your heart, that chetana. So it says, if one's hair do not stand on one end, how can the heart melt? And if the heart not melt, how can tears of love flow from the eyes? If one does not cry in spiritual happiness, how can one render loving service to the Lord? And without such service, how can the consciousness be purified? You see that? So to have this Dravida Chetasa, once you reach that, you can never remove Krishna from our heart. Never. Just like gopis. No matter how much you tried. It's like a wax already put in color, no matter what you do. The color you cannot remove, right? Sometimes even the haldi, stick in our dress, very difficult to remove, right? And that's what it is. When you are in this stage of niruddha, that trance, right? You will never be able to remove Krishna from our mind, right? And that's the stage we should all hanker hanker for and then yearn for. So with the time, so I'm just finishing it with a beautiful prayer by from Mukunda Malastottam by Kulashekar Alwar. Mukunda Murdha Pranipatya Yache Bhavantam Ekantam Yantamartham Avismriti Tvat चरणारविन्दे भवे भवे मेस्तु भवत् prasada. O Lord Mukunda, I bow down my head to your lordship, and I respectfully ask you to fulfill this one desire of mine. That is, each of my future birth, I will, by your lordship mercy, always remember and never forget it, lordship. Right? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. As in Vishnu Puran it says, like always try to remember and never try to forget Krishna. This is our should be our prayers. With that, I end the class here. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Evil. That was an amazing class, Prabhuji. So if we could all have 3 loud Haribos, and we can all unmute for Prabhuji. Haribo.
Hare
Haribo,
Bol, Hare Bol,
Haribo,
Hare
Haribo,
Bol.
Haribo.
So now we can use this time to do any questions. If anyone has any realizations, questions, comments, please feel free to unmute, or you can just leave it in the chat and I can read it as well.
I think it's very loud and clear topic. Hopefully, I made it easy to
I
understand.
I'll start. I really liked that when you talked about the power of the mind, and then you talked about the 5 stages of the mind. It was very like I never knew about that before, so it was very interesting to learn about. And I like the way you connected the stories of Duryodhana and Ravana, and um you kind of like included that in the topic to make it made it very interesting. So I really like that. Um, if anyone else has anything, I'll wait a little bit. I'll wait like 1 more minute and then we can go on to announcements.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful class. Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, bro.
All right. I had a quick question. So end of the day, I mean, I've seen chanting does have a very profound effect on me, but then it kind of lasts only for that much in the whole day, and then kind of when I throw myself into the whole real material world, it kind of gets very um, hard to keep my mind in uh, not with basic different levels like enviness, fear, even to a point anger and lust, because of the many roles we play, right? Like here, I'm not only working for myself, I have also people who work for me, and then when the business is down, I sometimes wonder, when will the next paycheck come in. So what is how does one train ourselves for a longer time? Like we look forward to a good sleep, but then many times you may not land up having a good sleep. So is there something beyond the 16 round of chanting? Of course, quality chanting is important, but that's my struggle as to how do I extend the battery life of a peaceful mind, you know?
So, definitely one of the devotees have asked about, like, how to have firm faith like Rukmini that Krishna will save us. So, just want to relate both of the question with the same answer. So, with the chanting, one can develop faith. So, is through hearing. Shravanam is so important, actually. That's why our Vedic scripture is called Shruti, is hearing. So, power of hearing is so important because it gives you taste. When you hear about something again and again and again, what becomes, oh, ये क्या है? कुछ है क्या ये? सब जगह पे सुन रहा हूँ मैं. ये चल रहा है. Try jewelers, try jewelers, try jewelers. Everywhere is like that. Because, like, the jewelry company is really good one. Like, they will have that kind of, it hits somebody. Maybe not it has reached you yet, but it'll come to you again, like, it's after some time. That's why that hearing, when we really revolve in hearing principle, you know deeply, actually that absorption will come, that will come. That's why if you see the acharya, they always very much focus, even the nine process of devotion service, this Shravanam is putting as the first priority. Because when you know about someone first, you know then you exactly will be able to connect much more better. If I know Vijay Prabhu, like how he is, what he does, then I can really, like a kind of put a mindset, much more deeper mindset, and think about him. Just like that, somebody says about, oh, do you know this devotee who is tall, he does this. I can like, hey, oh, Vijay Prabhu, is that, do you know how it becomes so easy for us to remember and get absorbed, right? In the same way, it's like Rukmini. The the only things he had about Krishna is just about hearing about him, what he did. Oh, he killed this demon. He this does. He's so handsome. He had this peacock feather. He does crazy things in Vrindavan. All these things actually made him so, like, even you do some certain thing. Oh, what Krishna has been must be doing. Gopis were just like that too. Whole day actually they could not even see Krishna in the morning when he goes, when he comes back. But they are like, hearing, like, speculating. This is, oh, Krishna might be doing this, Krishna might be doing that, and relating to, and even some past that happens, some demons are getting killed. They even actually sing a song about it because they want to keep that rhythm of connecting Krishna somehow. They love to hear. They will. That's why the gopis, as they say, like, there's two moments when we can see Krishna, and that's why just criticizing and chastising Lord Brahma. What kind of creator you are? You know, you you have given only two eyes. Problem is that first, and on top of that, what is this flickering? We have to close our, some more moment. Why you have to do that? You're missing our moment. Take darshan of this Lord, and that's what it is. Because when you really hear about someone, the attachment will develop very, very deeper. And a holy name actually much more depend on hearing principle. This is what I've heard, like, from my senior devotees, like, my teachers. One thing one should not miss. That's why Krishna Prabhupada said, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Hear Srimad Bhagavatam all the time. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. It's all his guna, lila, everything is there. And when you start hearing it, your absorption to Krishna becomes very, very powerful. That's what Parikshit Maharaj, he, even 7 days, just imagine, look at his absorption on Krishna. And this is the power of hearing. You can win the victory of death. So you get opportunity, you should get time to hear. Even death is coming. That's why Prabhupada, like, utilizing his even last deathbed, to translate his books, because so important. He know that hearing these books, reading these books can deliver us, actually. There are people like us. So I think that principle we have to always add, not just chanting, but hearing every single day. Yeah, from Prabhupada, senior devotees, Guru Maharaj, like that. You can even, like, if I go to bathroom, just put some lectures. And that's what, like, many, many devotees do. We have to improve this habit of hearing every day single. Like, generally, what I generally do is, like, even if I'm hearing, if I some, like, I start making notes, you know. And when that making notes, then you're actually much more observe than when you're not making notes. You'll hear, but you'll forget eventually. But I know that I've heard this lecture, then I can recall it. I can get the points. That becomes very easy. Otherwise, today, like, I have to give a lecture. So,
Correct, correct.
so yeah, when you keep hearing things easy, like, you can connect. It just becomes a part of you. So.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And within the hearing, also on the hierarchy level, would you call even kirtan as an important? Because a melodious kirtan by so many acharyas and so many nice songs. I mean, is there something which, like a chanting, then a kirtan, then Bhagavatam, or is there?
Kirtan, Kirtan definitely is a separate, like Shravanam Kirtanam. The Shravan is much more towards the Leela, the
Correct.
philosophy, and everything. So Kirtan is Kirtana. Definitely, it's a wonderful part that we have to hear the Kirtan, put the holy name going through. All the somehow we have to put holy name in the ear. This is the
Correct,
one, most of
correct,
the.
correct, correct,
It
correct.
is said the ears are the most powerful senses in our all of the senses.
True.
Because even if you are on a dead in the sleep mode, all the senses are down, but the
Very
ears
true.
are the only senses that works all the time. So
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
a wonderful
Thank you.
class. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate the effort. Thank you. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much, sir. Hare
Hare Krishna.